Hello, welcome to Experience Fit Life podcast. Today we're going to talk about something I just want to be really clear with you about leading sustainably and without losing yourself or your people through that process. Because burnout is not a personal failure. Burnout is not a sign that you're weak. It's not proof that you can't handle it. And it's definitely not personal failure. Most of the time, burnout is simply just what happens when pressure stays high for too long and recovery never really happens. And so, if you are leading anything right now, if it's a team, a business, family, organization, you already know that this is real. You feel it. And so, the expectations are higher, the margin feels thinner. Everything is changing constantly. And somehow, leaders are expected to just keep it all moving forward while keeping everyone else motivated and productive and engaged. And so today we're talking about resilience and well-being and burnout prevention, but not from like a trendy self-care perspective, more from a leadership perspective, because sustainable performance is no longer optional. And leaders aren't just expected to support well being anymore, they're expected to model it. And so it's important. Why is burnout a leadership issue and not just an individual one? For a long time, burnout was treated like an individual problem. Like you need to get better time management, or you need stronger boundaries, or you need to be more resilient. And listen, personal responsibility does matter. It really does. But that framing misses the bigger picture. Burnout isn't just about workload, it's about emotional strain that builds up over time. It's what happens when people feel constantly on and constantly reactive and constantly behind. And leadership behavior plays a major role in that. How leaders communicate urgency, how leaders respond to stress, how they handle boundaries, and how leaders define success. And all of that shapes whether burnout gets worse or whether it gets prevented. And so leaders may not create every pressure their team faces, but they absolutely shape how pressure is experienced, which means resilience and well being aren't side topics, they are leadership competencies. So I want to talk about the shift from a work life balance to a work life integration. And let's just be honest, work life balance is kind of a myth for most leaders. It doesn't even feel like that's an existing thing. Life doesn't happen in neat little compartments. Emails don't stop at 5 p.m., responsibilities don't disappear when laptops close. And it's hard for people that aren't in leadership positions to get it. I am all for boundaries. I am your biggest cheerleader with boundaries and shutting off the phone, shutting off the computer. But a lot of leadership responsibilities can't always be 100% off. You may be not near your phone, but know that if an emergency arises, you have to be the person for the job. So the goal isn't perfect balance, but the goal is healthy integration. I was just talking to a CEO last week and how, a certain time of year is so much more hectic for them. And I said, "Oh, is it because of this reason?" And they're like, "No, not at all. It's because we have more potential weather, tornadoes, rain, and we just happen to have more kids under the roof of their business. And so we have a lot more responsibilities and conversations that need to be had. And so I'm the guy. If we have to make a call and close up shop or cancel this or move them to this building for safety, I'm the one who has to call those shots." And so there's those little intricacies that people don't always realize when they are having to handle the behind the scenes responsibilities. And I know you get it because you're the one listening. So if we talk about work life integration, asking better questions like, how do I recover consistently? Or where am I leaking energy unnecessarily? Or what boundaries protect my long term capacity? And how do my leadership habits affect the people around me? Because healthy integration recognizes that there are seasons, and some weeks are heavier, some seasons are intense, and some seem like they're a little too easy and what's coming. And so sustainability comes from compensating, not from pretending that everything is always equal and it's always okay. And leaders who chase the quote unquote perfect balance often burn out trying to force it. And leaders who focus on integration build that resilience over time. And so burnout often starts with identity, not overwork. Here's something a lot of leaders don't realize until they're already running on empty. Burnout, it starts with when identity gets tangled up with output, when your worth becomes tied to performance, when rest feels like something that you have to earn, when saying no feels irresponsible, when everything feels urgent and important all the time. A lot of leaders carry this pressure under the surface. If I don't slow down, if I slow down, things will fall apart. Or if I rest, I'm letting people down. If I'm not available, I'm failing. And I'm your biggest example here. And so I'm in the exact same boat where I've dealt with those challenges to think, well, if it's gonna be, it's up to me. I'm the girl for the job. I'm the one who's gonna get it done right. And so those beliefs might not be spoken out loud. I guarantee you've had some of them, but they drive our behavior and they create patterns that eventually become unsustainable. It's kind of like the cook in the kitchen saying, well, if I don't go get the order from our customer, then it's not going to get placed right. And then it's not going to get into the system right. And then I'm not going to make it right. And then they're not going to get it right. So now I need to go get the order from them and, well, better get their drinks too, and then go place the order and then go cook the meal. And it's like the cook is doing every job, but the cook just needs to be the cook. And you need to be able to trust and train and develop and trust that your wait staff is going to do their job well. And so it's about delegation. It's about working together as a team and not being that end all be all. And so resilient leaders require this identity clarity. You're more than your role. Your value isn't measured by your availability, and your leadership impact is not defined by exhaustion. When leaders detach self-worth from overfunctioning, well-being becomes possible again. And so even for me personally, there's been many seasons where I've been carrying too much and too many to even to think of. But one for example, I was holding it all together on the outside. But when you really step back to look at it, which took me many months to get to this point of stepping back and really assessing, I was running out of gas internally. And if you think about my health, my mental state, I wasn't crazy, but man, it's just your short fuse with your loved ones that you care about the most, who end up getting the worst side of you. The just It was a season where you just don't even realize how stressed you really are until your body forces you to notice. I was unwell physically in my health. I was unwell and my body was screaming at me, get more sleep, stop being so stressed out, start eating better, make more things a priority, stop putting so much time into this one thing, and try to find a balance to do these other things better and well. And so burnout for me, it was exhaustion. It was losing joy, not having my joy and happiness anymore on the inside, even though I was great at faking it and going through the motions on the outside. And there was a moment, and it was a series of events, but a couple of really big moments that happened where I just sat back and so many emotions came out of me, realizing how the heck did I just get here? And I said, someday I'm going to write a book called How Did We Just Get Here? And it's all those little things that happen that build up to this moment where you are at your uttermost burnout point where you can't even think about how to think anymore. And so this is where I want you to either prevent getting to that point or help you get out of that point. And so if we talk about, resilience, it's often misunderstood, because resilience, in this process for me, it's not about pushing harder. It's not about ignoring the limits that, hey, I should probably be home with my family, a couple times a week at least, or maybe see my daughter before she goes to bed, maybe once or twice a week instead of never seeing her go to bed. And so it's not about ignoring those limits. That's not what resilience is. It's not numbing the stress or, powering through with 4 more energy drinks, because yes, I'm the gal for that. And it's not about powering through exhaustion. Real resilience is actually the ability to absorb stress and recover without losing effectiveness. But the key word there is recover. You need to actually recover. It's like doing strength training days, 7 days a week, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and expecting that, you should be getting stronger, but yet, what's happening? You just keep getting this fatigue and you're tired and you feel burnt out physically because you need to rest. So, because muscles grow stronger through stress and recovery. But stress without recovery causes injury, and recovery without stress causes stagnation. And so leadership is the same way. Resilient leaders don't avoid pressure, they build recovery into their rhythm. Physical recovery, mental recovery, emotional, relational. Ignoring recovery doesn't make you strong. It makes you kind of silly, and it makes breakdown more likely. And so I hope you hear in me that I am speaking from experience to try to prevent a few curveballs for you in life. Uh, I believe that God has taken me through journeys or allowed me to be stupid enough to go through some journeys to be that example for you and to save you a few steps in the wrong direction. And so if we get back to leaders set the ceiling for the well-being of their team, whether they want to or not. And the leadership truth, it makes people uncomfortable, but it's important. They set that ceiling for the well-being of their people, not intentionally, but practically. If leaders are never going to take a break, others are going to feel guilty doing it too. If leaders are going to send late night emails, urgency becomes normal and they're constantly on and they can't turn work off and recover. If leaders never disconnect, that over availability becomes expected with everyone in their team. And if leaders glorify that exhaustion or, that so-called resilience that people refer to, burnout is going to become a badge of honor. And that's not okay. Even if leaders say, take care of yourself, behavior is going to speak louder than policy. People watch what you do more than what you say. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware. Modeling boundaries is not selfish. It's just leadership. And sustainable performance is going to require some margin. Margin is one of the most overlooked tools in leadership. Margin is the space between demand and capacity. Without margin, everything feels urgent. Small issues feel overwhelming, decision quality drops, patience gets thin. With margin, leaders can think clearly, respond intentionally, and lead calmly. And margin is created through boundaries, not busyness. That might look like protecting your thinking time. Man, I tell you, I can come up with so many good ideas and brainstorm some incredible things for my business, for my life, with my relationship with God, if I just protect that thinking time of slowing down, get rid of the phone, get rid of the devices, and just ponder and think, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's scheduling recovery like it's a part of your job, or saying no to things that don't align. and maybe it's resisting the urge to fill every moment. High performers often struggle most with margin because they know they can push through. But sustainable leaders know that just because you can push doesn't mean that you should. And mental health is not separate from leadership performance either. Mental health doesn't stay at home, it shows up in leadership every single day. Stress affects our communication, anxiety impacts our decision making. If it's emotional fatigue, it reduces our empathy for people. And burnout in general just kills our creativity and our patience. And so leaders don't need to be therapists, but they do need awareness. Healthy environments start with things like normalizing conversations around stress and capacity. And it looks like reducing shame around needing help and encouraging realistic expectations and modeling emotional regulation. When leaders prioritize mental health, performance is going to improve. Not because standards get lower, but because people function better. And boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges. A lot of people think boundaries are limitations, but boundaries actually create clarity for people. They tell people when you are available and when you're not. They signal respect for your time and energy, and they reduce resentment and confusion. Leaders without boundaries often believe that they're being supportive, but over time, they become exhausted and reactive and frustrated. Boundaries protect relationships by preventing the burnout. Healthy boundaries can sound like, I'll respond to this tomorrow. It's still acknowledging that you see it, you care, you hear them, but that you're going to address it tomorrow because it's not really an emergency. And it can sound like something like, this can wait until our scheduled meeting. There's some people in life that where you're gonna have to make that clear for people that this is not something that needs to be addressed right now. This is exactly what we can talk about in our upcoming meeting. Or I'm offline this evening and we'll follow up in the morning. Or we need to clarify this expectation. Boundaries allow you to show up fully when you're present instead of partially everywhere. And helping teams build this resilience without forcing positivity. One mistake leaders make around well being is forcing positivity, telling people to stay positive during this relentless pressure to feel dismissive. And resilience isn't pretending that things are fine, it's helping people face reality without losing hope. Leaders can build team resilience by acknowledging pressure honestly and creating space for feedback and celebrating effort, not just outcomes, and encouraging that recovery time after some intense pushes or intense deadlines that your teams were working on, and checking in without micromanaging, just checking in to check in because they're a human being just like you. And sometimes resilience looks like slowing down so that you can speed up. And I want to talk about the role of rest in high performance leadership. Rest is not the enemy of ambition. Rest is what fuels it, just like resting your muscles so that you can become stronger and not get injured. Leaders who rest consistently sustain clarity, creativity, and emotional regulation. Leaders who avoid rest often rely on adrenaline. And adrenaline works short term, but it does not work long term. Rest doesn't always mean vacation either, because sometimes you need a vacation after your vacation. And so sometimes it might just mean stepping away from the screens, taking short mental breaks, protecting your weekends for some downtime, or just doing something that restores you. And if rest feels uncomfortable, that's information. A lot of times it means identity has become fused with productivity. And this has been a challenge I've faced in the past where if you have downtime, it's almost like, oh my gosh, what am I doing with my life? I have nothing to do right now. And it's weird. It's a weird feeling. And so you have to address that. Leadership maturity includes learning how to stop without guilt. And so, even for me in my own life, finding those boundaries that you can put in place to prevent or eliminate the burnout, it's hard. I love saying yes. It's hard to say no to people. It's hard to not add another project, add another aspect of ambition. Yes, let's do it. Let's go for it. Let's get it done. Let's go accomplish this. It's like I get so excited that I say yes to everything, and then it's like, oh my gosh, what the heck did I do? How did we just get here? Well, Sunny, you just got there yourself. And so it means boundaries, and also understanding, um for me, I have to ask myself the questions of, is this the right season for me to say yes to this? Because there can always be another season. Maybe for now it's just not the right time. And I'm okay with that. And when you can come to that kind of conversation and be able to peacefully say no, if you're anything like me and want to say yes, then you find this overwhelming peace that it's okay. And um, integrating this well being into our leadership identity is important, because strong leaders today don't treat well being um, like an add on, they integrate it into how they lead. Well being becomes part of decision making. How will this impact team capacity? What is sustainable over time? Where do we need recovery built in? What behavior am I modeling? This doesn't mean avoiding challenge, it means pacing challenge wisely. Sustainable leaders lead with longevity in mind. They understand leadership is a marathon, it's never a sprint. And so, what kind of leadership are you modeling right now? As we close, I want to leave you with a few questions to reflect on. Number one, what does my current pace communicate to others? What kind of example is that setting for others? Where do I need stronger boundaries to protect long term effectiveness? Is similar to weight loss or some kind of health challenge. We are about to start a 8-week health challenge, and so my mind is on that quite a bit. And so, how are we? The biggest thing with the health challenge, I'm trying to help people understand is, one of the most common questions is, well, do I have to go, to that facility and do all the workouts? Is there certain classes I have to take? And it's like, no, because I need you to be able to figure out what decisions you need to make for your health that are going to set you up long term to be successful. And I don't want you to go bust your butt at 8 weeks of classes at the gym, just to, challenge is over and you don't go back again. I want you to do what works for you. And whatever that is, if you enjoy the classes and want to keep coming back, great, do it. But if that's not your thing and you'd rather work out at home or get outside or whatever it looks like, I want you to do you as long as you're doing it. And so we have to create these boundaries to protect whatever that long term effectiveness is. All right, third question. How am I modeling well being through my actions? And four, what would sustainable leadership look like for me in this season? And I emphasize in this season, because every season is different. Burnout prevention isn't about doing less, it's about leading differently. Resilient leaders don't sacrifice themselves for results. They build systems and habits and cultures that support sustainable performance. And leaders who last aren't the ones who burn the brightest. They say the slow and steady wins the race. And it's just funny because you got, I don't remember the story, but I got I think it's the rabbit that's hopping or sprinting or something to the finish line, and the turtle slow and steady. And 90% of the way he is so far behind, but yet he won the race because he was steady and consistency. They're the ones who learn how to stay steady. And so Thanks for spending time with me today. And if this episode resonated with you, share it with someone that could benefit from this as well. I'm here to help. I am blessed to be a blessing for others. And so I want to bless others. And just remember, taking care of yourself isn't stepping back from leadership. It's how you stay effective in it. And if you'd like to join us in our life and leadership coaching program, feel free to reach out, ask any questions, and I'd be happy to help. And let's do this life together.